ng Pilipino, galing ng ating lahi na sa palad mo. Ipagpatuloy mo, galing ng Pilipino, galing mong natatag, ipagyamanin mo. Oh, 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 galing ipagpatuloy mo. Kaya hanggang ngayon, anumang larangan, lagi mong pinagtataguan.
Guten Tag, good day to everyone. On behalf of Consul General Evelyn Austria Garcia, it is my pleasure to join you virtually in this second episode of the online talk Tao at Serbisyo, Ang Galing ng Pilipino, organized by the Philippine Honorary Consulate in Stuttgart in cooperation with the Filipino nurses community in Germany. Congratulations for the successful launching of your program last week, and I wish you continued success in your upcoming episodes. Now, this initiative aptly features outstanding members of the Filipino-German community and serves to boost the image of Filipino workers here in the country by highlighting their admirable qualities. This activity fittingly commemorates National Women's Month this March. Women have and continue to play crucial roles as primary caretakers of children and elders, in education, and in the economy, among many fields. And during this pandemic, their contribution is significant. I'm heartened that you are paying tribute to Miss Bingbing Agbayani, who's an excellent role model. I've had the chance to meet her in several occasions in Stuttgart. She is a successful businesswoman and community leader, and a devoted wife and mother. She certainly serves as an inspiration to all women out there. Now, women have made tremendous strides in many fields in the Philippines. In government, we've had 2 women Philippine presidents thus far. In Congress, several women legislators have made a mark for their contributions and achievements, including Deputy Speaker Lauren Legarda, whose countless initiatives have uplifted the lives of Filipino women everywhere through her advocacies on the environment and climate change, social development, stronger foreign relations, and protecting the rights of indigenous peoples. She in fact played a decisive role in the establishment of the Philippine Consulate General in Frankfurt, and for this we are grateful. So I'm glad that we continue to convey stories of women being empowered. I hope they serve to inspire others so everyone can make a positive impact in their communities. Again, my congratulations to Philippine Honorary Consul Dr. Axel Neumar and his staff. Maraming salamat po.
Good morning, Deutschland. Magandang hapon, Pilipinas. Good morning, Mon.
Morning, Tita Roda.
Nag-almusal ka na ba?
Hindi pa. Mamaya na.
O sige, trabaho muna. Well, it's Saturday, March 13. To our German friends and Filipinos who are now holding a German passport, it's a day before the state election or the Landtagswahl. But to us Filipinos, it's just an easy Saturday morning of kwentuhan here at Tao at Serbisyo, Ang Galing ng Pilipino. Before anything else, thank you, Deputy Consul General Emil Fernandez, for joining us virtually and for the kind words and message you shared on behalf of the Honorable Evelyn Austria Garcia, our Consul General at the Philippine Consulate General in Frankfurt. And thank you for everyone here who are tuned in at the moment to the second episode of our month-long celebration of the Women's Month and of course the March episode of Tao at Serbisyo, Ang Galing ng Pilipino. Mon, may napansin ka bang bago?
Yes, of course. Aside from sa bago kong hair.
Talagang pagkabukas ng mga frisure.
Pagkabukas ng mga frisure. Kailangan talaga magpagupit. So, Yes. We have a new music ID, and we would like to thank the TFC, the Filipino channel Europe, for giving us the right to use the song Ipagpatuloy Mo, Galing ng Pilipino, sung by TFC Ambassador Gary Valenciano together with his son Gabriel Valenciano. Of course, salamat kay Dean, our very
Yes.
supportive TFC Germany authorized representative, and of course to Mr. Luis Pariwan
Mhm.
for helping us to get the approval from TFC.
Oh, maraming salamat. Actually, narinig nyo naman siguro yung music. Swak na swak ang kantang yan sa title natin. At alam nyo ba, maraming salamat din so far sa lahat ng nanood at nag-click sa YouTube ng aming first episode. As of last viewing, I think there were already about more than 500 views. And alam mo, meron ding magandang resultang nangyari. In that episode, I mentioned about a doctor who was trying to have herself recognized in Germany. And guess what? A day after we aired that episode, she emailed me and told me the good news that she has passed her licensure exam. So we now have a new doctor in Baden-Württemberg, and her name is Annalie Sabadao Rottenwender. So she is now a licensed medical general practitioner here in Baden-Württemberg. Congratulations, Anne. So, wag na nating pahabain. Medyo gusto ko nang ipakilala ang ating guest. Pero alam mo, it took me quite a while to think, how should I introduce this new guest? And of course, there are so many ways to describe her. But since I have just finished reading the book of Michelle Obama, which is called Becoming, I thought of a fitting introduction to her because this lady is somebody who is in her own journey into becoming. Sabi nga ni Michelle Obama, one of the craziest questions is asking a child, what would you like to be when you grow up? As if that's a finite, that as if getting to where you want to be, it's just that, not knowing that it's a journey. And here is one lady who is just continuing with her journey in the States, in the Philippines, and now in Germany. Let's all welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Bingbing Agbayani. Good morning, Bing.
Good
Morning, Tita
morning.
Bing.
Good morning. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank DEPCON Emil Fernandez for that very kind introduction. And of course, I'd like to thank the office of the Dr. Neumar, the Honorary Consul General, and of course, Rhoda and Mon for inviting me here today.
It's a pleasure to have you, and I'm glad you could make it today despite your busy schedule, no? So, napansin ko ang ganda ng blouse mo. Ano na ba yan?
Yes.
It's
Yan ang uso today.
Uso na ba
It's
yan
my-
ngayon?
it's my COVID shirt. Alam mo, pagka ready na for bakuna.
Oh, that's a good idea. Well, I think we should all have something like that. Well, did you notice I'm also wearing a purple because that's the color of the Women's Month. So anyway, we're all excited to hear your story. I mean, I think I met you, of course, again. There was a lull in my career also as a consulate assistant. And then I met you again after hearing your name 2017. So tell us your story. And I know we've shared stories about our background, but it's time to share our viewers. Who is Bingbing Agbayani? And then how did she end up here? Sige nga, kwentuhan mo
Sige
kami.
nga, okay. So let's start the story from a big turning point, which is when I got married.
Okay.
So I got married. I was already 40 years old. So before that, I had a career. I was working
Patingin nga na picture niya ng wedding na yan. Nasa na ba ang picture na yan?
So I look at this picture and it really marked a turning point in my life. Kasi after getting married, it meant a change in so many things. I stopped working. I moved to the US. This was before Facebook. So although may email na, but the connection to family and friends. the journey starts from the wedding because things change drastically, from a different life before pre-wedding, and after you get married, you move to another country. You give up your career basically, and you start a family. It's a complete change.
Wait, you mentioned career. What were you doing before or during the time you were married? As I'm sure you worked before you got married, or how was that?
So
What was your career?
I was working for Coca-Cola Bottlers Philippines Inc.
Mhm.
and I was the treasury director.
Oh,
So
very young director, I must say.
I was the youngest, yes, and I'm proud to say I was the youngest and the first female treasury director of Coke. And I look at this picture, and I had the corner office, had
Mhm.
to ceiling to floor window. I had my own bathroom. I was, when I think about this life, it's completely alien.
You got married while you're still working. Did you had an inclination that you would have to move, or was there something in your mind that goes on like, should I continue my career
So
or?
actually, I had retired. Coca-Cola used to be owned by Coke Australia, and it was bought back by San Miguel. So
Mhm,
they
yes.
offered this early retirement program, which I thought I
Oh,
would take, because I
okay.
felt that I had opportunities.
Mhm,
In fact, just before getting married, I had an interview to work to be an expat somewhere in Asia,
mhm,
also in treasury. But I
mhm.
gave that up. I decided I wanted to get married. And not that I planned to get married, Rhoda. There was no
Oh,
plan.
I was going to ask you that.
So
What led to that getting married while you're at the peak of your career as a treasury director?
I think for me, it was meeting the right person.
Oh, Mr. Right, yeah.
Yes. Actually at 40, you've given up finding Mr. Right, right?
Tell me about
Yeah.
that. Tell
And
me about that. I'm the
I was
right person to tell you that.
very happy with where I was. I got to travel. Career-wise, it was great.
Mhm.
But then, as in all journeys, suddenly you get to a fork and you get an opportunity to do something else, and I took it.
So you took the early retirement. At that time, you already knew that you are about to migrate, or was there an inclination that,
No, so I
okay,
decided to take a year off.
okay.
So
And what did you
I w-
do that year?
I went to this. First, I went to visit my boyfriend who was American. He was living in
Aba, may
Washington
iba pa?
D.C.
So,
Now my boyfriend, which is
your
my
ex-boyfriend,
my
okay. Who is
ex-boyfriend.
now
So
your husband. Okay.
I visited him
I
first
thought
in
you
the
went back to
US.
the one who, the one you left behind.
No, I visited him first in the US, and I went to Europe because my sister was already living in the Netherlands, or actually Belgium. Netherlands first and then Belgium.
Mhm.
So, I thought to take the year off doing things before going back to work again. Because I work, you know, the
So you
usual.
were in a distant relationship?
Yes, well, I
Hmm.
had got he was he we were old family friends. He went to the Philippines. I helped get him a teaching job at the Ateneo. He was
Mhm.
taking his PhD then.
Mhm. Nako, ayan ang usong-uso dito, LDR, long distance
Yeah,
relationship.
it
So,
all starts there.
yeah, and then you eventually decided to, so he asked you, or it was your
Yes,
decision.
he asked me. So when I visited him, I was there. He asked me.
Mhm.
And so I said yes.
Mhm.
Not
Oh,
knowing, really, it was a hard decision. Even to
okay.
the very end, while I was packing up my place, I
Mhm.
had a place in Makati. I was asking myself, what am I doing? I'm putting my life in boxes. Doing what? I had no idea. I guess
Ah,
it's a common experience for a lot of Filipinas here in Germany,
mhm. Yeah,
right?
and,
The people who come not because of not of careers, but
Mhm.
because they married a German citizen.
Mhm. And also for most of us women, it's also a question of, do I ask the husband to stay here or do I move there? So that's also the dilemma, because that was a question that I kept asking myself, and to some of us, especially like you and me who had a career, it's really a question whether should I just give this up? Must I give this up? And then you ask yourself, what is my priority at this point in my life? No? So,
For us, my husband is younger than me.
mhm.
Uh,
It
few
doesn't
years
make a
younger.
difference.
No,
Doesn't
but
actually make a
he was
difference.
starting his career, and I felt like I had achieved mine,
Mhm.
you know. So I thought it was his chance
Mhm.
to see where he can go. So that was why the decision was for me to give up mine and for him to pursue his.
I'm just curious, did you had to ask your mom or your parents before you left? Did
What
you
do you
have
mean
to
ask?
consult? Did you have to consult with them whether it's okay with them? We women, we are so attached, and most Filipinos for that matter, we are so attached to our parents that not only
It's
leaving the country is difficult, but also leaving our parents.
Alam mo, nakakatawa kasi my mom never didn't think I was going to get married.
Mhm.
So she was planning her retirement that I was going to take care of her.
Mhm.
She transferred all her stocks in my name. So when I got married, she panicked and sold everything, which was a
Yeah.
good thing because, when she sold it, bumagsak yung market. But, talagang, I think it derailed their plans. But of course, they did not stop me.
Mhm.
You know.
But that's one thing about women. Again, I mean, this is we're celebrating this in Women's Month. There comes a time when our parents get so worried about us that we are not yet married at a certain age. And then it just suddenly happens at the time they've given up the idea that we will still get married. And then they get this shock. It's like, what? So, I mean, that I can relate because that was also my case. But in my case, my mom knew about it and I even had to ask her if that's okay if I leave. And so what did your mom do after she got shocked that you're that you're leaving? No more
She
choice.
managed.
Okay.
She's my role model, strong. She's a strong woman.
Well, I guess most women are really strong in all aspects.
I think Filipino women are very, watch out.
I
Are
know.
strong.
I know. So anyway, you moved to the States. Where exactly? You said DC.
So we lived in Washington, D.C.
When you got there, what was the first thought that came to your mind as a new migrant in the States? I mean, it's a new environment, totally new people. What were your thoughts as a woman who is now married to, I suppose, an American citizen?
It was very difficult, I think you have to have that expectation that it's going to be different from your previous life. The culture is different. Some things that you can't bring over from the Philippines. For example, if you had a career in the Philippines, it's not necessarily immediately transferable. In other words, I wasn't expecting to find a job the same job that I was doing in the Philippines. It's just not the same. I was lucky that in DC, there was a big community of my classmates from high school.
Mhm.
So they supported me, they helped me get adjusted to life.
Mhm.
But I really, you know, I moved to the States and I got pregnant immediately. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, working, finding a job, reigniting my career was not really an option.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
Tita
because
Bing,
Yeah.
how was the Filipino community in Washington D.C. Back then? Were you part of a Filipino community in the U.S.?
Iba kasi, okay, masaya ako kasi mga classmates ko from high school were there, di ba? So, we were traveling, we were getting together, eating Filipino food. but I wasn't part of an organization, because the organizations in the States usually are like, alumni associations from universities, or doctors from the Philippines. Ganon yung mga organization parang, yeah.
Mhm. So you decided to stop working, but in that short span of time, did you made an attempt or try to look for a job, or you decided right away na, no, well, I guess I'll start a family and forget my career first. I mean, not even look for a possible job.
I didn't look for a job. I got pregnant and totally focused on my child. Part of it is although I had my friends,
Mhm.
you don't have family, you don't, my sisters were
Mhm.
somewhere else, my
Mhm.
parents. When you're raising a child, it's a bit different.
I
It
know.
really takes your full attention. Yeah,
Yes.
I felt.
So you were also like me, alone in another country. No immediate cousins, no immediate
No.
sisters. No. Okay. So you decided now there's a child. You're basically a housewife and a mother. What were the challenges? I mean, I know the challenges, but in your case, what is the task or what part of being a first-time mother which you find very challenging?
As a housewife, para akong Martha Stewart, I
Mhm.
had to do everything myself. I had to do everything perfectly. I would make Javi's food from scratch,
Mhm.
and I would research and everything. So talagang kinarir ko being a mom.
That's
So,
the word, kinaril talaga. And we are, I remember, I mean, I can relate very well to that because, we have Facebook and we hear your friends or my friends saying, oh, I'm having a difficult week or difficult month because my nanny is away. And I want to say, lucky you. Now you realize how spoiled we are all in the Philippines. Here we do everything and from morning till evening and even at the wee hour of the night.
but I think you develop a really special relationship with your child. One of my best friends from high school is a psychiatrist, and she talks about how there are units in the family, and in the Philippines, there's a unit where the child attaches to the caregiver, and that's not necessarily the parent.
Mhm. Oh no.
So it's a phenomenon that happens in countries like the Philippines, where you have caregivers aside from the mother.
Mhm.
So, so mothers abroad, we have a different kind of bonding with our children. When we moved to Germany, I continued to be a mom, but starting from 2010, things changed. He went to school. He started school.
So he was then
Until,
7, no?
yes,
Or six or 7. Yeah. 7.
2010
Yeah.
until 2018, he was still in school. He still occupied a lot of my time. But
Mhm.
it is between this time period when I started to do, I enrolled in German classes, language classes, because I had wanted to enroll in other, art classes, painting, etc. I
Yeah, I was
started
going
to
to
do things.
Yes, I was going to ask you that because from the US, which is of course widely American, and then like most of us to switch to German language. How do you find it? I mean, at what level did you pursue? It's not easy to take a language course, but we have to. And this policy only started actually in 2005, I believe, as part of the integration program. So how was it with you?
So I made it all the way to B2.
Mhm.
I still have to take C, but it's very difficult. It's hard for me. My excuse is that the brain cells, age. It's easier to learn language when you're young. That's why I always tell younger people, no, now is the time to learn a language. Do not wait. But nevertheless, I can understand when people speak in German. I get the gist. I can listen to the news and I know what they're talking about. But speaking, you know how us Filipinos, we don't want to speak English unless we're grammatically correct. It embarrasses us
Yes,
to make
that's
mistakes.
true. You said earlier that you started getting into activities. You continue to be a full-time mom, but you didn't stop at that. You.
So I went back to my old loves before leaving the Philippines.
What were
I
your
was
old
already
loves?
I'm talking about the pottery, for example. So, you know, the things I was doing in the Philippines, I tried to find it here. So I enrolled in a watercolor class. It
Mhm.
seemed the easiest to do, you know. So there, some of my work. Woohoo.
So, okay, so working is still a bit difficult because, we have a small child, no?
Yes.
And
So I still didn't pursue a career. Part of it is I didn't want to have a boss again. I didn't want to be an employee.
Mhm.
I kind of felt that working to make other people rich didn't
Well,
appeal to me. So
maybe you
yeah,
had so much in your career before. So, that's what you call there is a so-called career fatigue. And, at
and
some
part
point
of
you
it
don't
is
want to.
my old job was all about money. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it was managing cash flows, borrowing money.
Mm-hmm.
It just didn't have soul.
Right.
When you have a job like that, it's fine. You know, you get satisfaction
Mm-hmm.
from doing a good job, but
Mm-hmm.
you feel like you don't have a contribution. You know, you're not really helping people.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really reluctant to go back to
Mm-hmm.
that path.
Well, I can understand that, no matter how lucrative the position or the salary is, like they say, it's not all about money. I know of a lot of women who would do some other things beyond their qualification or even underemployed for their qualification because that's something that gives them satisfaction and it's something they like to do, not they have to do. So, and going to work should have some sort of fun factor and enjoyment and not just work, no, or else that's going to be like dragging yourself from one place to another every day. I can
Or a
understand
sense,
that.
a job that gives a sense of giving. You know,
True. Like
so
you're doing some sort of a mission. Um,
yes,
okay, so you said that these hobbies you've been doing way back in the Philippines, and
yes.
you just continued.
So from watercolor, I did gardening. Oh my gosh, I'm really Martha Stewart. My this is from my garden. These are photos from my garden. The strawberries are from my strawberry patch. I had tomatoes. I have tomatoes. Everything.
Wait, wanna go into food? We're into food, so it brings back a question. When you were in the Philippines or before you came to another country, do you know how to cook?
Oh, I learned how to cook when I took my master's in Australia.
So because you were
So
living alone, no?
yes, I was doing my master's and I was living alone. And when you're homesick,
Mhm.
one of the best cures is food. Food from home,
Comfort food, to be exact.
comfort food. And you know, I was living in a dormitory. Every Sunday, the canteen would be closed, and I would cook for the Asians.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they would contribute. We would all contribute money, and I would make an Asian lunch for everybody. And you
Yeah.
know, I don't know. I had this cookbook from Cooking with Nora Dasa.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm. That's
it
a big
saved
help.
me.
Well, well, now it's really like this because most of us Filipinos we are so used to living in hotel mamas, and finally when we start living on our own, then we're at a loss. And I must admit, when I came to Germany, I didn't even know how to cook rice, not even rice. I'm telling you.
Oh, oh no.
So anyway, but creativity is the mother, or necessity is the mother of creativity. So I learned to find ways to how to cook. And for Bingbing, at least you had that phase in your life when you were alone and at least could learn that before you got married. So anyway, you went into hobbies and
And
during.
from watercolor, you know, to do watercolor, I painted from photos. And so I started taking photos with the idea of painting from them.
So photography was also
So
part of
photography.
it.
So suddenly my pictures were looking great because
Mhm.
obviously I was composing them in a way for them to look like paintings.
Mhm.
So the next photos,
Mhm.
I think, illustrate this.
Mhm.
I started taking photos with the view of, oh, this will look great as a painting. And at a certain point, you don't really have time to paint, and you end up with just a photo, and
So, yeah.
it's okay na rin. Pwede na.
And here in Germany, there are so many landscapes. There's so many corners that you could take pictures of, and really interesting. Huh? So even
The next
parks.
the next photos are like photos I took very recently during the
Mhm.
recent snowstorm. You're
Mhm.
walking down the street, and all of a sudden, there's this couple with a bright umbrella in the midst
Mhm.
of all the whites and the grays. It was just a great photo. Thank God for the phones. The phones now can get take quality photos. You don't have to carry around the heavy
Mhm.
camera.
So, aside from hobbies, what kept you busy? What kept you preoccupied all this time?
I became president of Pag-asa.
Mhm.
So what pag-asa means, Tita? So
Pag-asa
what's
stands
pag-asa?
it stands for Philippine American German Association in the Stuttgart area. Medyo corny, no? Because Pag-asa, of course, we all know means hope.
Okay, but were you
So
giving hope?
I think so, because really the main purpose of Pag-asa is it's a resource for Filipino Americans. When they come to Germany, they immediately have family, well, sort of family in the community.
Mhm.
They don't feel lost. It's
Mm-hmm. Last episode, si Dr. Rosales talked about Mr. Leo Bretanya becoming the president of the Philippine community. Is this that Filipino community that
no,
handed over, or
no,
was it different?
no, this is different. This is
Yeah.
it's an organization in the US military community.
Mm-hmm.
So
Ah,
we are composed mostly of Filipino Americans who are here to work for at the base. But
okay.
we have members also. We refer to them as locals. Filipinos who've been here a long time.
Mm. Okay, but just you mentioned about giving hope to new settlers. Most people do not know that we also have in Stuttgart the so-called Welcome Center Stuttgart. It's it's a joint venture run by the state capital Stuttgart and of the Stuttgart Region Economic Development Cooperation. And it is funded by the Baden-Württemberg Ministry of Economy, Labor, and Housing. And they have a website. If we can flash the website address. And in this website, which by the way comes in different languages, you can get assistance in terms of finding an apartment or getting into a language course. And they even have, well, it's pandemic, but before they used to have a person-to-person consultation. I think right now they're doing it virtually and you can make an appointment. But try to check this website, Welcome Center. And if you want more information on this, you can also send me an email because you get regular communications from them. And you can join the virtual seminars that they regularly hold for all the newcomers in Germany.
Looking at this photo, this one I'm sharing, it's actually there are two past presidents and myself in this photo. In the middle is actually a despedida for Pete Marquez.
Mhm.
And his presidency was followed by Rose Servano and then BJ
Mhm.
Aguñas, who's in the back in the gray sweatshirt. And then I became president. Oh, that's a photo. That's a iconic photo of Pag-asa. We
Mhm.
joined the 4th of July parade, and somehow this picture is a perfect picture that the MWR uses as a poster for everything. For the
Good.
past 4 years, they've been using our photo on their cover. They have a
Mhm.
blown up photo of this in their office,
Mhm.
and it's interesting. It represents Americans, but look at us. We're all Filipinos.
Holding maybe American passport
Yes,
or
well,
dual passport.
we
Yeah.
didn't win this contest, but we won the next year.
Well, but you have your legacy already, no? With this
Yes,
photo.
yes, we are forever, in this photo.
Yeah. Do you
So
have
Tita
any
Bing,
idea? Yeah. Sige mo, go ahead, Mon.
so Tita Bing, how and when did you become the president of Pag-asa?
So, it's the same with Doc King, right? I became president by default.
By accident or by
By
default?
accident.
Of course, in the case
No
of Doc
choice.
King, he really was, a pillar of the community, a leader in everything. But in our case, because Americans, they go in, they come, they stay for 3 years, 5 years, and it's constant changes. And the president, unexpectedly had to leave. I was vice president. I became president. Oh my gosh, it was a shock. It was hard.
So what were the first challenges you had to deal with as a Philcom leader?
Organization, it's
Mhm.
very difficult, especially in a civic organization. We don't work together. We don't see each other every day. But you have to organize to get things done. And in our case, we had the food sales. We had we traveled. We organized a tour twice a year.
Yeah, we see some
Well,
pictures. I think we have some pictures on that also, no?
yeah. So
Ah,
this is for the food sale. And
mhm.
what do you call that?
Boodle fight.
Boodle
Boodle
fight.
fight.
Nako,
Boodle
alam mo,
fight.
mga Pilipino talaga mahilig kumain.
Of course.
And as I
Favorite,
said,
aside from photography, is also taking picture and eating is our favorite pastime.
so, lumpia in pancit is part of the vocabulary of the Americans.
Mhm.
And, we say lumpia in pancit, they know what it is. It's simply
Mhm.
from the food sales we have every year at the Spring Bazaar and the Christmas
It's a
Christmas
staple on the
Bazaar.
table. Yeah.
Yeah. It
Well, okay, sorry. There are more pictures, I think, no?
So, and yes, and we have cultural shows. That's part of the objectives of Pag-asa, is that we share the culture with
Yes,
the
and like
community.
those native products. I noticed your necklace is also a very interesting material. Can we see your, can we,
Can
later
you see it
siguro.
close up?
Yeah, I
It's
know. I
it's
noticed
pinalap.
earlier. Okay. So, this is something that I have to comment on this because our kids or the second generation kids, most of our children who were born here, um, most of them do not really have that sense of affinity to the Philippines because they didn't grow up there, they grew up in the Philippines. So it's really important that they see and we show them our culture, like, to see them dancing like this, the tinikling, that's really something. And if I can make my son dance like that, I would be happy. But until now, he hasn't even been offered in some of the Philippine events. But it's good to be doing activities like this.
I think it's an advocacy, when to share and let the community know about the culture. And this is and it is not just, it doesn't stop at sharing. It establishes, we get to establish a reputation for Filipinos. Among foreigners, they understand that when you say I'm Filipino, and the immediate thought that comes to me, oh yes, they're masipag, they're, as workers, or they're organized. In fact, Pag-asa is the only is the only ethnic organization in the base. There's no Korean group, there's no, South American group. We are the only one that's organized to do these things. And I think we leave a legacy for our children that they can proudly say, oh yes, my roots are in the Philippines. And they be proud to say it because, oh yes, the Filipinos are so, they're organized. They do things well, and they're masipag. they're friendly, they're happy, and it's always good that you get this chance to present
Mhm.
the best of the Filipinos. And I think that's what are, the different organizations in Stuttgart, in Germany, get a chance to do, to leave
Yeah.
this for our children.
Well, coming from that, I would also take this opportunity to mention that aside from Pag-asa, we also have so many other Filipino organizations. And as being mentioned, being a community leader is an advocacy. I mean, we have some community leaders who've been leaders for as long as I can remember. I hope that we also take it as a challenge to also develop new leaders, second generation leaders, by maybe involving our children into the activities, making them, if they are willing, to do some dances or even do creative items that are Philippine material, or anything which we could impart to let them propagate our culture. Because like being said, it's an advocacy, and as leaders, this is part of our job, and like this program is also part of our advocacy to promote the Filipino ingenuity and the Filipino talents, and ang galing ng Pilipino, sabi na, no? So being question, sorry,
Okay.
you wanted to say something?
No.
So leaders are born, not made. What do you think about that? Is there hope for Pag-asa? Is Pag-asa going to continue? Have you found your potential next in line, or what's in the pipeline?
For us, the COVID really derailed a lot of things. So, oh, by the way, so this is a photos of our travels. And join Pag-asa, because if you join us, you can do these things with us. But
Traveling.
COVID has derailed so many things, because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
derailed travel.
I know.
It's
Events.
Events. It's
Yeah.
derailed recruitment, actually, especially for us. It's a revolving door. People come and people go, and it's important for us to always get people to join the organization, and it's difficult to do that.
Well, we hope that through this program, Tao at Serbisyo, ang galing ng Pilipino, we would be able to somehow promote your organization and also the Filipino businesses, because that's what this program is all about, no?
So the next photos are one of our biggest
There's my
events
boss.
is, yes, look at that, with the, and
So
we
you
have
are, yeah, and you have a special guest.
Leonardo. So one of the biggest parties in the Stuttgart area is a party we give. We have a gala, which is once a year. So it used to be in December, and because I became president late in 2016, it was too late to plan a party, and it ended up in February. So this photo and the next photos are from the last one, which was 2019. I like to think that people really enjoy coming to our parties. It gives it gives the Filipinos, an opportunity to dress up. Something that we miss from home. Because I noticed the Germans, they have weddings, but they don't really do this big celebrations.
Red carpet and all, no?
Yes, we Filipinos, we miss that.
But I miss that party also, because I know you wanted me to come, but my boss is coming and I wanted him to dance. So I was concerned that he might not dance if I'm there.
He danced. Oh
I
my
know.
gosh.
I know,
think
but
he had fun.
I know, but you know what he told me? He was trying to hide himself behind. But we Filipinos are so small. It's inevitable not to see him because he's taller than all the rest. But I think he had fun together with Mrs. Neumar.
So supposedly the next one was 2020, which is Pag-asa's 20th anniversary.
We will do this again, Bing. We swear.
We will do it this
again.
year. So for
This
all
year.
of you watching, wanting to know when the next gala is going to be, the moment we get the go signal to get together for 300 people or more, we will do it.
And we already have a plan.
We have
Right?
a theme. It's
We have a theme.
Filipiniana. The theme for the next party is Filipiniana because we've been doing theme parties. The last one was a red carpet.
And we will do it together. We have already a theme,
Yes.
a plan.
Yes.
That's the go signal that
My
we are.
barong is already done.
Oh, think about.
Maghanda na kayo. You cannot miss this party.
Oh, narinig
So-
nyo yan, ha?
So it's a chance to get together, and we always have a show. In the next slide, I think we show a photo of our guest. The last time we had a dance. Yes,
Oh. The salsa.
Filipinos love to dance. Yeah. So this couple showed us how to do it, but the truth was the Filipinos could have shown them how to do it.
Oh, well, that's our talent, singing and dancing. No, Filipinos are not good into that, no? Okay,
So yun.
so from Pag-asa, the journey continues. Did you stop at that? And I know, well, people know that you did stop at that. What else is Bingbing Agbayani into these days?
So the being president of Pag-asa reminded me of what I could do, the things that that I could do, because in Pag-asa we became like we like catering, we like managing a business, we organized trips, we rented buses, we booked flights and hotels, and then the party planning. So I realized, oh my gosh, the things I can do, and it reminded me, and I thought maybe it's time. At 2018, my son now is only 16, is already 16 years old. So I figured, well, being a leader has shown me that I can be a leader, and it led to other things.
Yeah, like
So-
voluntarism. You even did
Yes.
voluntarism. You even volunteered
So-
and became a model. So
So you know what? If I were president of Pag-asa, we would not have met, I don't think, Rhoda. And you would not have invited me and my son to help, to help out in your event.
most
Oh my
likely.
gosh. So my
Yes.
dream of being a model came true at 57 years old.
And the funny thing is, I honestly, I had you in mind from the very beginning, but I didn't want to directly ask you. So I thought, we have a group on Facebook. So I posted it on Facebook, showed the dress first, and asked if there's anybody willing to do this. And, I was also
Well,
surprised that, oh my God, why not Bingbing? No?
Nakakatawa nga
It's-
because my work was supposed to be as makeup artist lang.
Yes. We got you for that, and thank you, Bingbing, for really helping us into this activity. You've done so much in terms of makeup and of course being a model and
No,
just-
Rhoda, believe me, thank you. It was such
Well,
an experience.
okay,
So yeah,
this is
for those of you who are thinking twice, volunteerism has its benefits.
Mhm. Maybe I should also take the opportunity to mention about what this is all about. This is our last pre-second wave pandemic event, which is called the Langanap de Consulate, where some consulates participated on this event. But this is also the concept of doing a fashion show is also a last-minute thing. That's something we didn't really plan, and it just came out of a discussion. I won't forget this day because a day before that, I was having coffee with Mrs. Neumar, and we were talking about what's going to happen on the Langanay de Consulate. I said, honestly, at this point, I don't know. And then the next day, I met with Mon, who told me, I have a friend. And with this, I have a friend, it all started.
It all started.
Yes.
Oh
and
my
then-
God, Mon, I don't know how this thing could have worked. Aside from the fact that it was Mon's friend who is the designer.
Christian Lanuso. Lionel
Christian Lanuso, yes.
Hello, Christian. I
Mon
know you're watching.
Mon was behind the scenes, directing everything. I think we would have all, collapsed in panic. Mon, you were the savior. I mean, Really.
Yes, he saved not only your life but my life too, because this event only didn't have just a fashion show. On top of that, we had the booth, the Philippine booth, which I have to work and be the one responsible of. So Mon and I were actually talking in front and he at the back doing all the sign languages we could manage. And but it's really hard work for all of us, but it has paid off. It has
Yeah,
totally paid off.
Mon was the boss.
He was the boss for the moment. I was the assistant, so to speak, at that time. But thank you, Mon, for all your help for this event. And okay, going back to the volunteerism, thank you, Bingbing, for doing this, and for all the other models who joined us during the Langanak, the Consulate. And I promise you, this is not going to be the last. We will do this again. We're just going to wait for the right time. But speaking of volunteerism, I also would like to mention that Germany is a country where volunteerism is big. There is even another website called Bundesfreiwilligedienst.de. So this website is another helpful website for all those who are looking for, some people don't know what they want to do some jobs, but they're not sure what. And if you would like to volunteer in a particular area where you think you need some knowledge and expertise before you jump on into a job, this is the website.
A little career advice. When they say it's not who you know, it's who knows you. So when you volunteer to, in organizations, in areas, people get to know you.
Mhm.
And when an opportunity arises where they have to hire somebody, or, they will immediately think of you because they've met you through
Yes,
your volunteer work.
and this is the pandemic time. Like I said, there's always good that something comes out of, but use this time. If you're not doing anything, use this time to hone your interests, your talents, your skills, and you'll never know. This might just get you the next job that you've always been wanting to do. So, okay. So,
And talking about volunteerism, like this photo that I share next
ay,
is
kasali ako.
yes. If I were not president of Pag-asa, if I were not a community leader, I would not be invited to these events. Oh my goodness. I never thought I'd have my picture taken with the ambassadors.
Mhm.
Two
Well,
ambassadors already.
already,
Ambassadors.
yes, this is the Ambassador Meli Santa Maria Tomacek before, and then there was a change to Ambassador Dison. Well, yes, that's the another advantage of being a community leader. So that's
you
also a
get
come on.
you get front seats, like the other leaders, they invite us as well, like sina Kuya Fred for their
Mhm.
sinulog. We are
Mhm.
so grateful that they always think about us.
Mhm.
So we get invited, and you get the opportunity to interact with everybody.
So Bingbing,
Okay.
what is this photo at the left? I remember, was this the road show?
Yes, and that was the first in the series of the roadshow in Berlin.
Mhm. Oh, we also had that in Stuttgart, if you remember.
Yes, I was also there.
Right. That was the Investment and Recruitment Roadshow. I think that is one of the first projects of the Philippine Consulate General in Frankfurt, under Consul General Evan Austria Garcia. And we had the pleasure of meeting Ms. Carol Dominguez, Mr. Cesar Averia, and the other lady, I can't remember the name, but she was also with the EDI staff builders, I believe.
I believe Cesar, their main business in Germany is to bring nurses.
Yes, and they have a partner, Mr. Christian. I can't remember the last name, but I remember there was a counterparty in Germany who was also helping them with the nurses recruitment. Yes.
And it's interesting, they opened a school
Mhm.
so that they could, train nurses. Not kasi it's not available. Learning German is not available all over the Philippines. So they had to create a school in the south, I believe, and they were looking for a business partner to set up a German language school in the north.
Well, that's the thing. That's probably something that our heads, our bosses can look into, because aside from Goethe Institute, there aren't a lot of accredited language schools. That's the thing. It has to be accredited or recognized by the German embassy, and that's not really easy. So anyway,
saling tuta lang ako dito because Carol was my barkada in college.
Yeah,
and she called me and she said, "I'm going to Germany. We're going to roadshow. We're going to Berlin." She gave me a list of the cities: Berlin, Frankfurt, and I said, "How can you not have Stuttgart in your
of
list?"
course, with all the big companies here, no?
Yes, are you kidding me? I said, "You have to have Stuttgart there." And she said, "Oh, thank you." I had of course, outside Germany, the typical tourist places they know about, but
Yeah.
Stuttgart as an industrial,
No, that's the thing, because Stuttgart is not very popular yet in the Philippines. I say yet. We will make that popular now. Okay, so moving on from being a community leader, what else? Like I said, your journey continues, and we know that after this, you did volunteerism, and then came Kumon.
Hallo, ich bin Maricel.
And I'm Bingbing. Welcome to
Kumon Bublingen.
The girl is crying.
The girl is fine. I'm 9 years old and I'm in 3rd grade and I'm doing 4th grade math. And this really inspired me because I was kind of struggling with math, and then when I started Kumon, I got better and better. And then it's been like I've been getting like a lot of better grades.
Hallo, ich heiße Sarah Su, bin 8 Jahre alt und ich gehe in die 2. Klasse und gehe schon ein halbes Jahr hierhin. Ich bin durch Kumon richtig gut in Mathematik geworden.
So in November 2019, my good friend Maricel Camacho and I decided that we would start a Kumon franchise. So what it is our children, as you can see, her daughter Maya, she's 12 years old, and Javi now is 17, more or less grown up. And we had been both career women in our past lives in the Philippines, and finding a difficult time transitioning into a career in Germany. She was a dentist. She had a
Yes.
thriving dental practice in the Philippines. We decided to set up Kumon because our children were doing Kumon in Degolok in Stuttgart, and we were very happy with the results. And it seemed like a natural fit for us as mothers, with some business experience. And we opened it November 2019.
So what prompted you to start the business, Tita?
Basically, because it was time to, let go of the kids. It was time to have another baby. So, and Kumon, basically, suddenly we have so many children. Currently, we have 42 children to take care of.
Enrolled in the school.
And then for those of you who don't know what Kumon is,
Yes,
Kumon is it's a Japanese learning method. It was invented by created by a high school teacher for his son to prepare him for university. So it's a training to learn how to learn, preparing children for university. And here in Germany, we offer two subjects, which is math and English.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, but so this is some sort of a complementary to the normal school. So it's more of improving their math and English.
Yes, it is not a Nachhilfe. No, it's not a tutorial thing.
Mm-hmm.
What we do is we help the children develop the skills to learn on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So, and basically, it's to develop the core skills of math. Because, you know, as parents, when your child comes home with his math test and he shows it to you and you realize his mistakes are really not understanding the math problem, but he makes a small mistake in the addition and multiplication. And so our exercises help develop this core skills.
Yes, and
it's very effective and successful all over the world. In the Philippines, there's so many Kumon.
Oh, I know there are so many Kumon, and actually, the English and math are one of the basic subjects that the schools in Germany really take focus on. And if you notice, it's a case of either someone is good in math but bad in English, or someone is good in English but poor in math. So I think these two
and
subjects really complement.
the real geniuses are the ones who are smart both in the sciences and in the arts, like Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci is a well-known artist, but he's also a scientist and inventor. So really, if you want to, you know, to develop your child's, help him reach his potential, highest potential, you develop both sides of the brain.
Dapat yata ako mag-enroll sa Kumon kasi I'm poor in math.
Yes. Can we enroll, Tita, in Kumon?
Of course, you know, the program is available up to university. May university.
Really?
Our oldest student is 29 years old.
Well, you're talking about students now. So my next question would be, what about teachers who are teaching? Are you doing online, or is this a face-to-face, or how is the teaching method?
Right now, we're doing hybrid. Of course, the ideal is in person. You know, it's really different when children learn online, and that's why it's been leading to learning loss. So, so we do a hybrid right now. We're doing hybrid because we can't have everybody at the center all at the same time. And so they come to our center kasi twice a week. So in order to have everybody get to, you know, the time that they need with us, we're doing hybrid.
Are you allowed to teach, or what are the qualifications to be a teacher?
So, funnily enough, as you know, my background is in finance and Maricel is a dentist. So you don't have to be a trained teacher to be a Kumon instructor. In our case, I think the best qualification that we have is being a mother. You know, understanding what parents are looking for, what children need, you know, having that experience. So having said that, when you apply for a Kumon franchise, they train you for a few months before you open your center. And then there's ongoing training, almost monthly. Yeah.
So, Tita, could you share with us the franchise requirement in putting up a Kumon Learning Center?
So there is a vetting process. You know, if any of you are interested to set up your own learn centers, I could give you the link to Kumon DE. They vet you, and one of the first things they do is they give you a math test.
Oh my God!
Math and English test. It was so funny. You know, the English part I thought was easy, very easy. The math part was a bit of a challenge, but we passed it. And then you go through a training, and then you're supposed to present a business plan. So it's very interesting because the way we did this is not the typical way. We formed a company called Mama Jama GmbH. That's our first names: Maricel, Maria for me, Javier and Margarita for her. Mama Jama GmbH. So you have to have a business plan, because if you start a business, you have to register yourself. You have to go through the process of meeting some regulatory requirements, but they're very minimum and actually very easy to do. They make it very easy for you to start a business.
Yeah,
It's
so if you have,
interesting because when we were doing this, I realized very few Filipinos have a business. In general, Filipinos are happy to be professionals, doctors, nurses, and or working for a company, working in a hotel or some other industry.
yeah, well, you mentioned about business, so perhaps the others are also interested in putting up to this. From the way you explain it, is it also possible that if you have a space, then you can just come up with a Kumon, just make it very conducive to learning and
Actually, Kumon you can do from your home. You can
Yeah,
set up like a small, if you have the space to accommodate tables and have students over, you can do that.
and like
So
you said,
it's very flexible.
and like
In
you said,
fact,
you don't necessarily
one
have
of-
to have the qualifications of a teacher to be able to teach, no?
One of the trainers, one of the Kumon teachers within Germany that they invite a lot is this Filipina. She's quite successful, and her business model is very different. She actually travels. Her business is not in one place. So you can set it up whatever suits your market and your situation. I think it's a great opportunity. Filipinos, I think this kind of career, helping children, is something that comes naturally to us. Yeah.
Well, we have a lot of Filipinos who are teacher by profession. I, for one, I'm a teacher by profession, and
Oh, I did not know that.
I am a, well, in my case, I am a teacher by profession. I'm a marketing person by accident, and I'm a consular assistant by some stroke of luck. But speaking about teaching, I wanted to say that there are also other ways for people who are into teaching. There are other ways for you to teach. For example, Kumon is one. And the other one is also getting into the Volkshochschule or the adult school, VHS. In those schools, we know that in Germany, it's not like you can do whatever you want. You have to have the title and the Ausbildung or the training for it. But there are areas where you don't necessarily have to have those kind of qualifications. Like I said, I can speak for myself. I did business English in the VHS until I stopped last year. And also, if you want, I'm still waiting for somebody to officially start something into Tagalog, teaching Tagalog. In Berlin, they already have the Humboldt University, where Tagalog is being taught. I know that because there was.
I am so glad you brought that up, because our business was set up in a way that, while Kumon is the main business of the company, we are allowed to do training. And actually, when I became president of Pag-asa, I had thought, well, why can't we be like the Chinese or the Japanese? They have Saturday school teaching their home language. And we are so, why can't we have a Filipino class? And frankly, I have been looking for, a teacher who could do this, who has experience, and now we have the space.
Yeah, because I have a friend in Switzerland, and she just sent me a WhatsApp recently, and before they started the so-called Kwentuhang Sabado with children, telling stories in Tagalog and making use of videos that's available. But now they made an organization out of this. I think there was even a press release on the Philippine Embassy website of Bern. So now, and I'm really looking forward to also have somebody teaching our Tagalog language. I mean, I am guilty also of not teaching my child, my son, the language. Every now and then I would speak to him and ask him if he understood. I think they understand, but but they're just hesitant to speak.
Okay.
Tita, for our viewers, do you have any email or website or FB page that they can visit for them to contact you regarding Kumon?
So on Facebook and then Google, just type in Kumon Boblingen. That's Boeblingen. And we will come up and all the details will be there. Please do visit our page. And, a like would be appreciated.
Well, we've learned a lot about you today, Bing. But let me just put it this way: since we are celebrating the Women's Month, and from your experience, you have seen that we women have our ambition, and they do not die with motherhood. That working mothers are distracted, less committed. That is all a myth. It's an old argument that sometimes divides mothers and women with and without children against each other. But have you seen a mom, how she single-handedly hold her child in one hand, open the door with the other, keep it open with one foot, and still try to push that stroller with another foot? That's how women can be focused on the multiple tasks that they have. And we may not sometimes get it all in a row, but that doesn't mean that we are not committed to our tasks. And as you have seen and heard from the experiences shared by Ms. Bingbing Agbayani today, what is true is that being a wife and a mother leads us into self-discovery of what else we can do, either for ourselves, to a larger society, or both. As Michelle Obama said in her book, Becoming is never giving up on the idea that there are more growing to be done. And with that, we would like to thank Ms. Bingbing Agbayani for sharing with us your time and your experiences this morning.
Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. And for April, we will be celebrating the Food Month and the Quincentennial Month. So we have more surprises for you. And our next guest is a young lady who has not only started a beautiful story, but is also making a delicious one. At magkita-kita po tayo ulit dito sa Tao at Serbisyo.
Ang galing ng Pilipino.
Salamat po and have a nice day.
Nag-expect kayo, no? Kapag nakuha mo na ako, ilang-ilang ako. Angel, will you marry me?
Balikan mo ako kapag mayaman ka na.
Galing ng Pilipino, galing ng ating lahi na sa palad mo. Ipagpatuloy mo, galing ng Pilipino, galing mong natatag, ipagyamanin mo. Oh, 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 galing ipagpatuloy mo. Kaya